I worked night shifts at 68 years old while my son's wife used my stolen money to renovate a lake house for herself. It was the weekend of the Harvest Festival in Vermont, the kind of weekend where the air smells like apples and chimney smoke, and the leaves put on one last show before winter takes hold. I'd spent the morning stirring cranberry sauce and roasting a chicken I bought on sale. Nothing fancy, just enough to make the house smell warm, even if I had to keep the thermostat below 60. Then around noon, Nathan arrived. My son. My brilliant, beautiful boy. He stepped out of that sleek black car like someone stepping off the cover of a magazine. He wore a wool coat that probably cost more than what I made in a month. Behind him came Celeste, tall, elegant, dressed in a cream coat that never saw a wrinkle. Her hair perfectly curled, lips painted in that soft shade of wealth. I smiled. I always smiled when they visited, even if the visits were rare. I couldn't afford bitterness, it was too heavy to carry. I simply wanted a good day. Just one. They came inside. We exchanged hugs, brief and perfumed. I noticed how Celeste barely touched my shoulder. I tried not to read into it. We sat down for coffee and cornbread. Nathan looked around and said, "Mom, how do you like the mountain cabin I gifted you?" And just like that, my world tilted. I blinked. What cabin? Nathan laughed lightly at first, then slowed. The one I had transferred into your name last year, near Willow Peak. I thought you'd love it being so close to the mountains. I stared at him the way you stare when you suddenly realize you've missed something important, something that belonged to you. I felt the blood drain from my face. My hands tightened around the coffee mug, cracked at the rim, but still functional. Because the truth was, I never received anything. Not a deed, not a key, not even a whisper. And Nathan didn't know, not yet. He didn't know I'd been eating canned soup for dinner and wiping my hands with paper towels instead of buying real napkins. He didn't know that the medication I needed was sitting on a pharmacy shelf because I couldn't afford to bring it home. But that moment, that one question was about to unravel everything. I don't remember setting the coffee mug down. All I remember was the sound of Nathan's voice cutting through the quiet like a thread, unraveling. "You're joking, right?" he said. "Mom, the cabin near Maple Lake. I had it signed over to you just before your birthday, and the monthly support I've been sending $1,500 every month for the past 2 years. His words hung in the air like smoke, thick, disorienting, painful to breathe. I turned to him slowly. "Nathan, I never received anything. No house, no checks, nothing." I watched the confusion spread across his face. First disbelief, then something darker, like a man realizing he's been sold a lie with his own signature on it. Celeste shifted in her seat, and I don't know if it was instinct or intuition, but in that exact moment I felt a chill settle beneath my skin. The kind of chill you feel when someone smiles too perfectly. I just remembered she said, her voice light, but higher than usual. "I need to make a quick call about the reservation for tomorrow." She stood quickly, napkin falling from her lap like a soft betrayal, and walked into the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear. But she wasn't talking, not right away. I could hear her heels clicking against the tile floor as she paced. There was no warmth in that sound. Nathan looked back at me, searching my eyes. "That's not possible," he said. "Rebecca, my assistant, she handled the paperwork. The deed was processed. The account transfers were automatic. You should have been getting them, Mom. I was helping you." And just like that, my hands began to tremble. Helping me. He thought I'd been receiving $1,500 every month. I could barely form the words. "Nathan, for the last 2 years, I've been working double shifts just to afford my medication. Last winter, I had to choose between keeping the heat on or paying for insulin. I've been making do with crackers and tap water some nights." His face went pale. "That's not—" "Mom, I had this all set up. I swear to you, everything was arranged." I believed him. I could see it in his eyes. This wasn't some cruel joke. This was something far worse. It meant someone had intercepted that generosity and buried it in silence. He pulled out his phone, his fingers tapping rapidly, scrolling through transactions and emails. The money was sent, he muttered. I can see it here. Same day, every month. $36,000. It should have gone straight into your account. $36,000. My chest tightened. I couldn't even comprehend that number. Do you know how long it had been since I'd had more than $20 in my wallet? Do you know what $36,000 means to a woman who reuses tea bags, who washes aluminum foil so she can use it again? I leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table, just to stay grounded. Nathan, I said softly, you didn't just send money. You sent hope. You sent a future. And I never received any of it. From the kitchen, I could hear Celeste whispering now. Her voice was hushed tense. Nathan didn't even glance up. That can't be. Mom, this makes no sense. But deep down, I think a part of him already knew. Something was wrong. And not just with the money. With the house, the mail, the silence. All the signs had been there, but he, like me, had trusted the wrong person. I'll call Rebecca, he said again, standing up, suddenly pacing like a man trying to put together the pieces of a puzzle that should have been whole. She'll know what happened. But I already had a sinking feeling in my stomach, one that told me this wasn't a mistake. This was theft, quiet, strategic, personal. As the steam from my untouched coffee curled into the air, I realized this wasn't just about money or a property that vanished into thin air. It was about betrayal. Betrayal that came wrapped in smiles and designer coats. And while the room stayed quiet, the truth was no longer silent. Something was terribly, terribly wrong. Nathan stepped outside to call Melinda, his longtime assistant. I watched him through the kitchen window, his back straight, one hand gripping his phone like it was the only stable thing in this moment. I stayed seated at the table, my fingers tracing the grain in the old wood. I'd had that table since Nathan was in high school. He used to do homework here, legs too long for the chairhead bent over math problems, while I prepared dinner behind him. That same table now held the invisible weight of a truth we hadn't yet spoken aloud, but were fast approaching. Through the kitchen door, I could still hear Celeste murmuring on her phone. The words didn't matter. It was the way she spoke them, rushed, brittle, anxious. Her voice had lost its elegant polish. And then the front door creaked open again. Nathan's face was different, tighter. He sat back down across from me, laying his phone on the table like it was evidence. She confirmed everything he said softly. The deed to the lakeside cabin. It was transferred 2 years ago, to Eleanor Wren. Your full legal name. It's done. Signed, notarized, processed. I blinked, but I never signed anything, Nathan. Not a single paper. Not for a deed, not for a property, nothing. He nodded, looking more disturbed than I'd ever seen him. I know, that's not all. He tapped his phone, pulled up the email chain. Melinda also double-checked the bank transfers. The $1,500 monthly payments they were sent without fail every month to an account ending in 6914. My heart dropped. My account ends in 2143, I said. I know. A pause stretched between us like a canyon. Somewhere upstairs, the old house creaked, as if it too were bracing itself for the truth. Nathan continued, his voice quieter now, like he was trying to protect me from the words, even as he spoke them. The mailing address tied to the account, and the deed, it wasn't your home address. It was something else. 12 Pine Hollow Road, apartment 3C. I stared at him. I've never lived there, I said. I've been in this house for over 15 years. I don't even know where that street is. He nodded slowly, jaw clenched. Melinda said she was confused too when it first came in, but she was told it was an update. I already knew. But I asked anyway. Who told her? He looked me straight in the eyes. Celeste. The name hit the air like a drop of ink in clear water, spreading fast, staining everything. She called Melinda in December 2 years ago, Nathan said. Said you'd changed your banking info. Said you had a new address. She even confirmed the new account number verbally. I didn't say anything at first. I just looked over at the kitchen doorway where Celeste's voice, had now gone completely silent. I could hear my heartbeat. "Nathan?" I finally whispered. "She lived under your roof. She sat at this table. She watched me serve her tea while I worried about paying for my next refill of medication. She knew." "I know," he said. He looked older suddenly, not in his face, but in his eyes. The way grief ages us when we realize someone we loved, someone we trusted, was capable of this. "She updated my records," he said almost to himself. "She rerouted everything. $36,000, a deed, a second identity, a false address. Not an accident, a plan. A theft wearing pearls and lipstick and calling me mom, with just the right warmth to make it believable. For 2 years, Celeste had stolen my life, one payment, one signature, one lie at a time. And Nathan, he had no idea. He'd trusted her completely. I saw him pick up his phone again. "I'm not done," he said. There was steel in his voice now, not rage, not yet, but something steadier. A man who had built a business from nothing and was now dismantling a lie from its foundation. "I need to know where every dollar went," he said, "and I want proof, deed, bank, all of it." And as he spoke, I realized this wasn't just about recovering money. This was about reclaiming the truth, because lies, even well-dressed ones, rot everything they touch. And Celeste's mask was starting to crack. The silence in the house was no longer warm. It felt brittle, like the moment right before a vase falls from a shelf. Nathan stood beside the table, still holding his phone, his jaw clenched as if it took everything not to let anger spill out in all directions. His eyes were locked on the kitchen doorway. And then she appeared. Celeste? Her phone still in her hand, screen dim now. Her posture perfect as always, but there was a twitch at the corner of her mouth. Her shoulders didn't hold the same confidence they used to. The air around her shifted. "Nathan," she began softly, "I think there's been a misunderstanding." He didn't say a word. Neither did I. She stepped closer, folding her hands together like she was about to pray. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen the way it did. It started with just one payment. My dad was in the hospital. The bills were coming fast, and we didn't know how to cover them." Her voice trembled like she wanted it to sound human, fragile, sympathetic. I thought I could borrow the money, just for a while, just until things got better." Nathan's eyes didn't leave her. He was stone now, not cold, just still, like a man waiting to see just how far someone would go with their story. "And the cabin," I asked, my voice quiet, but pointed like a blade slipped under silk. Celeste hesitated. They needed a place to stay. My parents, my brother's family, they had nowhere to go. The rental was too expensive. The cabin was just sitting there, and I thought maybe just for a few months. 2 years, Celeste. Nathan cut in. His voice cracked like thunder. "You've been living off my mother's money for 2 years. You've watched her struggle. You've looked her in the eye." Tears began to form at the corners of her eyes. She wiped them away quickly, mascara smudging. I was going to fix it. I really was. I just needed time. Time. That word clanged in my ears. I leaned forward slightly, my hands resting on the same table where she'd eaten the meals I sacrificed to prepare, where she'd accepted my tea and complimented my cozy home while wearing cashmere that probably cost more than my rent. "You know what time gave me, Celeste?" I said calmly. She looked at me, startled by the softness in my tone. "Time gave me an infection in my foot because I couldn't afford both my antibiotics and my blood pressure pills. Time gave me days without heat because my old space heater finally broke. Time gave me hours in line at the pharmacy, counting out coins, hoping I could cover the bare minimum." Celeste looked away, blinking faster. I kept going because I had held this in for far too long. "You think this was about a place to stay? Or about helping your parents?" I shook my head slowly. "This was about choices. You made 100 of them. Every month when that deposit came in, you had another chance to stop. And you didn't." Nathan stood up straighter. His face was unreadable, now drained of warmth. You stole from my mother. You didn't borrow. You lied. You rerouted money meant to keep her alive, and you let her suffer so you could renovate a lake house. I didn't mean. No, he said firmly. You did. Maybe not at first. Maybe the first time felt desperate, even forgivable. But every time after that, it was a decision to take. And you never stopped. Celeste took a step toward him. Nathan, please. We can work through this. It was a mistake. No, he repeated. We are done. His voice was cold now, not angry, just final. I want you out of this house. Tonight. The words hung heavy between us. Celeste's eyes darted between us, searching for sympathy, mercy a crack in the wall. But neither of us gave her what she was used to. There was no rescue waiting, and as she turned away toward the stairs to pack whatever designer guilt she could carry, I felt no victory, just a quiet kind of heartbreak, because betrayal never comes from strangers. It always comes wearing familiar perfume. After Celeste left that night, suitcase dragging across the floor, tears falling more from fear than remorse, the house felt heavier, not lighter. There was no peace in her absence. Not yet. Only questions, and shadows where trust used to be. Nathan sat at the table long after she was gone, his eyes unfocused, staring into the dark window, like he was trying to understand how the life he built had turned so hollow. He reached across the table and touched my hand. Mom, I'm so sorry. I squeezed his fingers gently. It's not your apology to carry, I said. But we're not done. He looked up puzzled. I want to see everything I said, every paper, every transfer, every lie that wore my name. Nathan nodded slowly, the tension in his jaw returning. Then let's begin. The next morning he returned with a box of documents and his laptop. We cleared the dining table, the same one where Celeste had once smiled at me like family, and we laid out the wreckage. Bank statements, legal forms, copies of emails, payment receipts, notarized documents, so much paper, and not a single page I had ever seen. I moved slowly, methodically. Years of cleaning offices at night had taught me how to organize messes, even the ones that hurt to touch. Nathan showed me the deed transfer for the lakeside cabin, the name printed clearly across the top, Eleanor Wren. The signature below looked like mine almost, but there was no loop in the capital E, and the tail of the N at the end curved differently. It was stiff, hesitant, someone trying too hard to mimic something they didn't know. I never signed this, I whispered. Nathan compared it to a birthday card I'd written him 2 years ago. Side by side, the differences stood out like a forgery under a black light. She forged it, he said, voice low. I know, I replied. But we'll prove it. We kept digging. The monthly payments had been deposited into an account I didn't recognize. We traced it to a bank across town, Mountain Ridge Credit Union. I'd never banked there, never even walked into the lobby. Nathan made a few calls, but they wouldn't release information to him. They need to see you in person, he said. You're the account holder, at least on paper. So we drove. My hands trembled on my lap the whole way there. Not from fear, but from something else, a kind of righteous anger that had been simmering for far too long. The bank was bright, modern, sterile. A young woman at the front desk smiled as I handed her my ID and explained why I was there. 10 minutes later, we were in a private office with a representative going through the account details. It had been opened exactly 2 years and 1 month ago, just before the first $1,500 payment was supposed to reach me. The mailing address on file 12, Pine Hollow Road, apartment 3C. The phone number, not mine. The account holder's name, Eleanor Wren. The rep looked at me, puzzled. You've never actually visited this branch before, have you? No, I said firmly. Never. She pulled out the original account application and the signature card. It was the same forged signature, that stiff, awkward imitation. The rep's voice softened. This appears to be identity theft. You need to file a report with the police as soon as possible. I looked at Nathan, and for the first time in this entire storm, I didn't feel helpless. I felt ready. I had spent years enduring in silence, dimming myself, telling myself I could survive anything as long as I stayed quiet. But not anymore. Celeste hadn't just stolen my money. She had stolen my name. She had taken my identity, my sense of security, and twisted it into a lie she could live off of. But I was taking it back, one signature, one statement, one truth at a time. Sitting in that bank office, I felt like I was watching someone else's life unfold in front of me. The woman behind the desk, her name was Jordan Young, kind eyes too polite to show how shaken she really was, flipped through the documents with the kind of disbelief people reserve for movies, not real life. "This isn't your handwriting," she said, after comparing the forged signature to the one on my license and the notes I'd signed just now. "It's close, but it's off. A forgery, clearly." I didn't flinch. I'd already known. I was past denial now, past disbelief. Jordan continued scanning the screen in front of her. "The account was opened in your full legal name, social security number, birth date, even a copy of an ID. But it's not this ID." She held up the one I'd handed her. "It's a different photo. Someone used your name and information to create a fake identity." She looked at me cautious. "Do you have any idea who might have had access to your personal documents?" I stared at her for a moment, then slowly nodded. "Yes," I said. "I do. Celeste. She must have taken it from Nathan's office. He kept copies of family documents in a locked file drawer. She would have had access, trusted, unquestioned. The betrayal deepened with every detail. "This is identity theft," Jordan said gently but firmly. "You need to file a police report as soon as possible. I'll print out everything you'll need: account history, application form, signature records." Nathan sat beside me silent. His hand was clenched into a fist on the desk. We left the bank with a folder full of evidence. I carried it like it weighed 100 pounds, not just because of the paper, but because it held the proof. The confirmation that I hadn't imagined my suffering, that the cracks in my walls, the unpaid utility bills, the hunger headaches had all been avoidable, had all been stolen. When we got back to the car, Nathan didn't start the engine right away. He opened his phone instead, moving quickly across the calculator app. $1, $500 a month, he muttered. Times 24 months. That's $36,000. Then he flipped to another list transfers he'd made outside the regular payments. There was the $1,000 for Christmas 2 years ago, the $500 when I thought you needed new glasses, $800 for that dental work Celeste said you were scheduling, a couple smaller ones too. His eyes locked onto the screen. Total comes to $43,000. He turned to me, face pale. "She took $43,000 from you, Mom." I said nothing. What was there to say $43,000? I had never even seen that much money in my life. Not in one place, not in one account, not as something that belonged to me. That money could have bought back my health, my peace of mind. It could have fixed the roof leak, replaced the broken heater, brought back the dignity of walking into a grocery store without a calculator in my hand. I looked out the window at the world passing by. To someone else, $43,000 might have meant a new car, a vacation, a remodel. To me, it meant breathing room. It meant not having to choose between food and medicine. It meant warmth in the winter. Celeste didn't just steal dollars. She stole comfort. She stole security. She stole 2 years of my life, the years I had quietly told myself to just hold on, because surely things would get better. And Nathan, he looked broken. "I'm going to fix this," he said suddenly. "I'm going to talk to the police, to a lawyer. We'll freeze the account, take legal action, report the identity theft. We'll get it back." I touched his arm. "It's not just about getting it back, Nathan." He looked at me. "It's about seeing the truth clearly," I said. "No more illusions, no more pretending things are okay. I want justice, not just for the money, but for what it cost me to survive without it. Because surviving in silence is still surviving. But it comes at a cost, and I was done paying it." 2 days later, we sat across from Nathan's lawyer, Mr. Lowell, in a quiet, windowed office that smelled of paper printer toner and quiet judgment. He was the kind of man who didn't waste words. Every sentence landed with the weight of facts no one wanted to hear. He pushed a thick folder across the desk toward me. "Mrs. Wren," he said, adjusting his glasses, "I want to be very clear about what we've found so far." I nodded, my fingers tightening on the edges of my coat. Nathan sat beside me, still tense, though I could tell by his grip on my hand that he was trying not to fall apart again. He hadn't slept much since the bank visit, neither had I. Mr. Lowell opened the folder. "There weren't just one or two instances of fraud," he said. "We're looking at a long-term systematic pattern of deception. Your daughter-in-law, Celeste, didn't just open one fake bank account in your name. She opened 3. I blinked. 3? He nodded. Each one at a different institution. All tied to your Social Security number. All opened within weeks of each other roughly 2 years ago. They were set up to receive money Nathan believed he was sending directly to you." My throat tightened. It wasn't just theft. It was a strategy. He continued, flipping to the next page. "She also applied for 2 credit cards under your identity, both maxed out. One carries a balance over $8,000 and the other about $6,000. Nathan's hand twitched beside mine. "And there's more," Mr. Lowell said. "She took out a personal loan in your name, $12,500. It's delinquent." I closed my eyes. How I began, but stopped myself. I knew how. She had everything she needed: access, trust, opportunity, and no conscience. Mr. Lowell paused before dropping the final blow. "And unfortunately, we've confirmed that Celeste also filed fraudulent tax returns in your name twice." I looked up sharply. "Tax returns?" "Yes. She filed under your Social Security number, claiming you had received income, the same money Nathan was sending to support you, and reported it as part of your earnings. She also claimed false deductions and even listed herself and her parents as your dependents. The IRS flagged the inconsistencies and began investigating months ago. I felt like I couldn't breathe. "I file my taxes every year," I said, voice hoarse. "I've done it honestly. Always." Mr. Lowell nodded. "We know, and we'll prove that. But from the IRS's perspective, it looks like you've been hiding income. They've been sending notices, all of which were redirected to the fake Pine Hollow address Celeste used for everything." Nathan cursed under his breath. "The fraud total," Mr. Lowell continued, "is currently estimated at $78,000. That includes the direct theft from Nathan's support payments, the credit card balances, the loan, and the value of the tax returns she filed in your name. $78,000. That number didn't even feel real. It sounded like something from someone else's story, a headline, not a life. "And the cabin?" Nathan asked, voice cold. Mr. Lowell leaned back. "That's where it gets even more complicated. Legally, the deed is in Eleanor's name. However, the renovations Celeste's family made, new roofing, landscaping, interior upgrades, were all funded using stolen money. That technically increased the property's value. So she used my mom's stolen money to improve the house that was supposed to belong to my mom anyway," Nathan muttered. "How generous of her." Mr. Lowell didn't smile. "It strengthens the criminal case. But it will take time to sort out what can be reclaimed versus what was laundered through physical assets. We'll pursue full restitution." I looked down at my hands resting in my lap. They were rough, dry hands that had scrubbed floors and packed lunches and written checks I couldn't afford to cash. How had I come to be a suspect in a tax case when I could barely afford groceries? How had a woman I served meals to turned my identity into her playground? But sitting here hearing the facts laid bare, I no longer felt powerless. I felt angry, clear, ready. "Let's move forward," I said. "All the way. I want my name back. I want my life back." Mr. Lowell nodded. "Then it begins today." And just like that, the real fight began, not for survival this time, but for justice. The road to the cabin twisted through thick pine forests and winding hills. It was the kind of route where the silence feels older than the trees, where the sky opens just enough to let you believe the world still holds beauty. And when we pulled into the gravel drive, I couldn't speak. There it was, the mountain lodge Nathan had meant for me. Perched at the edge of Maple Lake, the cabin stood with its wide windows catching the afternoon sun, A stone chimney gently breathing smoke flower beds blooming despite the chill. Birds fluttered at feeders hanging from the porch. Wind chimes sang in the breeze. It was beautiful, warm, serene, everything it should have been. Everything I had dreamed about in the quiet moments after long shifts. The kind of place I imagined on the nights when I sat in my tiny kitchen, wrapping myself in a blanket to save on heating. Nathan turned off the engine. "You okay?" he asked softly. I nodded. "Let's go." We walked up the porch together. The door opened before we could knock. A man stood there, mid-60s, kind-faced, deeply lined. His expression fell the moment he saw me. Behind him, a woman peeked over his shoulder, gray hair pulled back, her hands nervously clasped in front of her apron. Celeste's parents. I recognized them from family dinners, holidays, polite, quiet people. We'd never been close, but I never had a reason to suspect anything from them. They always smiled, always thanked me for the meal, always looked a little overwhelmed by the wealth they suddenly had access to. Now they looked devastated. "We've been expecting you," the man said, stepping aside. The interior of the cabin was everything I'd pictured: polished wood, soft lighting, hand-stitched curtains. The scent of pine and old books lingered in the air. But every detail felt foreign. Not mine. A child's drawing was taped to the fridge. A worn recliner had clearly become someone's favorite spot. This wasn't just a stolen property. It was a home. My home, occupied by people who believed they'd been gifted a miracle. Mrs. Wren Celeste's mother whispered, her eyes filling. "We didn't know. We swear. Celeste told us Nathan bought this place for us. She said you were living comfortably, that you didn't want to be bothered." I looked at her, really looked. There was no malice in her face, just shame and confusion. Celeste appeared at the top of the stairs wearing an old sweater and no makeup. She looked smaller somehow, deflated. Her voice trembled. "Margaret, I mean Eleanor. Please. I never meant for it to go this far. I just wanted to help my parents. They were going to lose their house, and I panicked." "You panicked for 2 years," I asked quietly. She swallowed. "I thought I could fix it before anyone noticed. I thought I just needed time." I stepped forward. "You had time, Celeste. Every month, every single deposit, every dinner, every time you looked me in the eyes and told me how lucky we all were. You could have come clean. You didn't." She was crying now, but I didn't feel anything. I wanted to. I expected to. But my heart was quiet. Not cold. Just done. Mr. Lowell stepped forward, crisp folder in hand. He cleared his throat. "Per the court order, this property legally owned by Mrs. Eleanor Wren must be vacated within 30 days. Everything purchased or renovated with misappropriated funds is subject to audit and restitution. You may remain temporarily to arrange relocation, but continued occupation after the deadline will be considered trespassing." Celeste's father nodded. He looked like a man who'd just found out his whole life was built on stolen sand. Celeste didn't speak. She just stood there holding the banister like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I took one last look around the cabin, the bookshelves, the fireplace, the lake view. This was supposed to be my peace, my sanctuary, my reward for a life lived honestly. Instead, it had become a stage for betrayal. But soon it would be mine again, not just in name, in truth. We were back at the cabin the following morning just after sunrise. The lake shimmered with soft golden light, and for a moment it almost felt peaceful again. But that peace wasn't real, not yet. The air was too thick with waiting. Inside, Mr. Lowell reviewed final documents at the kitchen counter. Nathan stood beside the stone fireplace, arms folded tightly across his chest, jaw set like stone. His eyes never left the front door. I sat by the window watching the breeze stir the trees, waiting for the sound of tires on gravel. We knew what was coming. The police were on their way. Celeste was being charged with identity theft, fraud, and financial abuse of an elderly person, a crime she had committed so elegantly, so silently, that it took 2 full years for anyone to see the truth. She came down the stairs, slowly, dressed simply, hair pulled back, No jewelry, no makeup, just a plain gray hoodie and sweatpants, like the disguise of someone trying to look harmless. But I saw her clearly, not the version she crafted with smiles and curated empathy, the real Celeste. A woman who had smiled at me across dinners, complimented my cooking, watched me pack leftovers for her parents, all while siphoning off my life in monthly doses. Now she was pale, shaking slightly, a tissue clutched in one hand like it could somehow soften what was about to come. She stepped into the living room and looked at Nathan, her eyes already wet. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I swear I never meant to hurt anyone." Nathan didn't move. His voice when it came was ice. "You took my mother's life savings." Celeste blinked, stunned by the sharpness in his tone. "You took her name, her income, her safety. You didn't just hurt her, Celeste. You played both of us, and you played us well." She opened her mouth, but he held up a hand. "No more stories," he said coldly. "No more excuses. You had 2 years to come clean. Instead, you chose to dig deeper, lie bigger, smile wider." The tears came harder now, but they felt wrong, practiced, like she was more afraid of being caught than of the damage she'd done. "I was going to fix it," she said, choking on the words. "I just didn't know how to stop once it started. It spiraled." I thought, "No," I said softly from the window. She turned toward me. "I thought I knew you," I continued. "I thought you were just a little lost, a little privileged maybe, but kind. Family." I stood up. "And for 2 years, you let me think I was just unlucky, that maybe I hadn't saved enough, that maybe old age meant struggle and that I simply had to endure." Celeste shook her head, lips trembling. "I didn't mean for it to go that far." "But you let it," I said, "month after month. Lie after lie. You let it." Outside, the crunch of gravel broke the silence. The squad car pulled in slowly. 2 officers stepped out, adjusting their jackets. Mr. Lowell moved toward the door, papers in hand. Celeste panicked. She turned to Nathan. "Please, Nathan, you know me. I made mistakes, yes, but I can change. I'll do anything. Just don't let them take me away. Not like this." Nathan didn't blink. "They're not taking you away, Celeste. You walked into this on your own." The knock on the door was soft but final. The officers stepped inside. "Celeste Monroe," one of them asked. She nodded weakly. "You're under arrest for identity theft, fraud, and multiple counts of financial deception. You have the right to remain silent." The words faded into the background as she turned toward me, eyes wild now. "Eleanor, please tell them you forgive me. Tell them it was just a mistake. Just say something." But I said nothing, not out of anger, not out of vengeance, but because there was nothing left to say. I'd already lived the sentence she was about to serve, and as they led her away, hands cuffed behind her back, I didn't feel triumph. I didn't feel relief. I just felt done, like I'd finally closed a door that should have never been left open. 3 months later, I stood outside the county courthouse in my warmest coat, the same one I'd worn for 5 winters straight. The wind cut through the air like a blade, flurries dancing around our boots. The sky was pale and gray, heavy with the kind of stillness that comes before change. Nathan stood beside me, collar turned up, his breath fogging in the cold. He hadn't said much all morning, just held the car door open, placed his hand gently on my back as we walked inside. It was the day the last piece of the damage was finally, officially undone. Celeste had signed the divorce papers without contest. Mr. Lowell stepped out of the courtroom, his usual calm demeanor slightly softened by the weight of the moment. He gave Nathan a firm nod, then turned to me. "It's done," he said. "The marriage is dissolved. All assets purchased with stolen funds have been legally reverted. Mrs. Wren, you now own the lake house free and clear. The fraudulent accounts have been frozen and will be transferred under your control pending financial restitution." I took a deep breath and let it out slowly, watching it vanish into the icy air. 18 months. That's what the judge had given her. 18 months in a low-security facility. It didn't feel like enough, not for the stolen years, not for the emotional whiplash. But maybe it wasn't about the number. Maybe justice didn't always come in proportions. Maybe sometimes it was just about the truth, finally having a place to stand. Nathan turned to me. "How are you feeling?" I searched myself for an answer. Not angry, not victorious, just lighter. "I feel like I'm standing at the edge of something new," I said. "Not quite through it, but no longer under it." He gave a small smile, the first real one I'd seen in a long time. In the weeks after Celeste's arrest, I watched Nathan change in quiet, beautiful ways. He was no longer the man buried in work emails calling me twice a month between board meetings. He became the man who showed up on Tuesdays with groceries and a worn-out joke about forgetting something last time. He became the man who sat on my porch, not saying much, just watching the water with me as the sun dipped behind the trees. Guilt had brought him to my doorstep, but love kept him there. One morning, as we unpacked groceries together in the kitchen of my now legally mine mountain cabin, he paused with a box of tea in his hand and looked at me. "I missed too much," he said. "I thought I was doing the right thing, building something big enough to take care of everyone. But I never checked to see if you were okay." "You tried," I told him. "You trusted the wrong person. We both did." He nodded. "But I want to earn that trust back." And he has. Every little thing he does now is quieter, more intentional. He doesn't throw money at problems. He shows up. He listens. He asks questions like, "Are you warm enough?" Or "Did you remember to take your medication?" And not because he feels obligated, but because he finally sees me. Not just as his mother, but as someone who survived, someone worth knowing again, and I'm learning to let him. The lake house feels different now, not tainted, not haunted, just real. I've started adding small things, a new quilt for the guest room wind chimes, for the porch herbs growing in little clay pots on the windowsill. It's mine now in more than legal terms. It's my space, my healing, my second beginning. The money in the frozen accounts is still being sorted. Mr. Lowell says once the restitution process finishes, I'll have more than I ever imagined. But honestly, it's not about the money anymore. It's about never having to count nickels at the pharmacy again. It's about waking up in a warm bed and truly knowing that I am safe. And it's about seeing my son come home again, not just to this house, but to himself. As we left the courthouse that day, the snow still falling gently, Nathan reached for my hand. "Let's go home, Mom," he said. And this time, I had one. The day I moved into the lake house, the one Nathan had always meant for me, it felt like I was stepping into someone else's life. Everything was polished, perfect, curated. The furniture still held the faint scent of someone else's perfume. The throw pillows looked like they belonged in a catalog, not in a home. Even the silverware felt too polished, too. Performed. It wasn't ugly. In fact, it was lovely. But it didn't feel like mine. I stood in the center of the living room, letting the silence settle over me like a too heavy coat. For 2 years, Celeste's parents had made this place theirs, unknowingly living in a stolen dream. I could still see the faint outlines of their routines, the spot where a rocking chair had sat near the window, the child's crayon marks on the back of a door frame that no one had fully cleaned off. For a moment, I almost felt guilty. But then I remembered this was never supposed to be theirs. This place had always been meant for me. And now, finally, it was. A few days after settling in, I called Mrs. Henderson, my supervisor at the cleaning company. She picked up on the first ring, surprised to hear my voice. "Eleanor, we've missed you." "You okay?" I smiled into the receiver. "I'm more than okay," I said. "I'm calling to let you know I won't be coming back." There was a pause. "You're retiring, I am." It felt strange to say it out loud, like claiming something I was never sure I'd get to say. I'm retiring. For 15 years, I'd worked the night shift cleaning offices when no one was watching, sweeping up other people's messes while the world slept. I used to tell myself it was temporary, that one day things would get easier. And now, without warning, that one day had arrived. Nathan had hired a financial advisor to help me navigate the aftermath of everything Celeste had taken. After weeks of digging through records, tracing transfers, and calculating damages, they came back with a number. $95,000, he told me over coffee one morning. Once restitution is complete, with interest and legal compensation, that's what you'll walk away with. I nearly dropped the mug in my hand. That money, it felt like a miracle, like safety, like breath returning to lungs that had gone too long without air. But still, I didn't rush to spend it. Instead, I began slowly reclaiming the cabin, one drawer at a time, one corner, one breath, one morning ritual at a time. I started with the kitchen. The marble countertops were too cold, too severe, so I brought in a handmade wooden bowl, filled it with apples. Hung curtains, I sewed myself soft gingham, the kind that lets light through in the morning. I lined the windowsill with herb pots, rosemary, basil, thyme. I talked to them while I watered them, asked them to grow with me. Then came the reading nook. I moved a chair closer to the fireplace, added a quilt Nathan had bought me years ago, but never seen me use. I placed a woven basket beside it, filled with books I'd never had time to read. Now time stretched out like a horizon. Most mornings I woke before the sun. There's something about fog rolling over a still lake at dawn. It speaks without words. I'd sit on the back porch, wrapped in a shawl, sipping tea, letting the quiet wash over me like music. I didn't play the radio. I didn't check the news. I listened to bird song. I watched squirrels race along branches. I watched myself settle. That's what this season of life became, a slow settling, a deliberate choosing of peace over bitterness, creation over loss. Nathan visited often. We'd share meals, walk the garden path together, sometimes just sit in silence. He never tried to fix things with money anymore. He fixed them with presence, with time, and I let him. The lake house had once been the stage for a lie. Now it was becoming the canvas for something real. Not perfect, not painless, but finally, mine. In a town as small as Pine Ridge, news doesn't just travel, it echoes. It starts with whispers at the bakery counter, crosses over to the church bulletin board, and by the time it hits the hair salon, it's no longer news, it's legend. And after everything that happened with Celeste, I became one of those legends. At first it was subtle. People began to glance a little longer when I passed by in the grocery store. A few cashiers smiled wider than usual. My mailman Chuck, who barely nodded before now, lingered to ask how I was doing. The woman who ran the dry cleaner pressed a hand over mine one day and said, "You're strong, Eleanor." Most wouldn't have made it through. Those moments were soft, kind, and I appreciated them. But not every comment came with warmth. One afternoon, while picking up birdseed at the feed store, I overheard two women murmuring near the seed bins. She must have known something one of them said. "I mean, how do you just let someone steal that much money from under your nose?" The other whispered louder than she probably meant to. I didn't confront them. I just picked up my bag and walked away. But their words clung to me all the way home. Then there were others, those who looked at me like I'd won the lottery instead of surviving a storm. "Well, must be nice," one neighbor commented cheerfully as she eyed the newly planted herbs on my porch. "Getting a lake house and all. Some folks really do land on their feet." I smiled politely. I always do. But inside a quiet ache bloomed. They didn't see the nights I sat in the dark because the power bill was too high. They didn't see me choose between toothpaste and prescription refills. They didn't see the loneliness, the silent humiliation of needing help and thinking it was being sent, only to realize later that it had been stolen in the quietest, most personal way. Some acted like the cabin, and the compensation erased what I endured, as if justice neatly wipes away all the bruises. But healing doesn't happen on a schedule. It isn't measured in dollars or legal settlements. It lives in the small moments, the morning you wake up and realize your chest doesn't feel as tight, the night you sleep without grinding your teeth. I didn't argue with the whispers. I didn't try to correct every rumor. I'd learned something during those 2 years of invisibility, that peace is quieter than defense. so I focused on the parts I could control. I made lavender tea in the evenings and watched the wind roll across the lake. I baked again real bread, not just instant oatmeal. I wrote in a journal Nathan gave me one page every morning. Sometimes it was just a sentence, "I'm safe now." Other times it spilled out for pages. Nathan told me not to worry about the town. "They'll come around," he said. "And if they don't, that's not your burden to carry." I nodded, but I also knew small towns don't forget easily. They just change the way they remember you. And if I was going to be remembered, I wanted it to be for more than surviving betrayal. I wanted it to be for how I rebuilt, for how I refused to become bitter, for how I planted things that would outlast the gossip. So I kept planting herbs, wildflowers, peonies along the fence line. I joined the town's gardening club not to prove anything, just because I finally had the time and energy to do something for myself. One afternoon during a seed exchange event, an older woman I didn't know well, Ruth, walked up to me. "I just want to say," she said gently, "some of us do see you, Eleanor. We know what you went through, and we're proud of how you've carried yourself." I blinked, surprised. "Thank you," I whispered. And it struck me not all whispers are cruel. Some are quiet affirmations passed from one survivor to another, and those I held close. It was early April when Nathan came by with 2 cups of coffee and a quiet sort of smile, the kind that gives itself away before the words even come. We sat on the porch, a soft wind rustling the trees, little green buds pushing their way into the world. I could tell he was working up to something. He cleared his throat, glancing at the lake before finally speaking. "Mom, there's someone I'd like to tell you about." My eyebrows lifted, but I waited. "Her name's Rachel," he said. "We met through Mr. Lowell. She's a forensic auditor. She actually helped with some of the fraud investigation after everything." I smiled into my cup. "And she's brilliant," he said quickly, but then added with a more serious tone. "And she knows the whole story, from beginning to end. I didn't hide anything. That alone made me breathe easier." He continued. "She's not impressed by money. She's fiercely independent, doesn't flinch at hard conversations. When I told her what happened with Celeste, she didn't pity me. She just said, 'What are you doing to make it right?' I chuckled. I like her already." He looked relieved. "She keeps me honest, makes me want to show up better." There was a pause before he asked almost cautiously, "Would you want to meet her sometime?" I turned to him, really looked at him. He seemed lighter, still working through things, yes, but less burdened. As if the shame that had clung to him since Celeste's arrest had finally started to lift, not because he forgot it, but because he was growing through it. "She sounds grounded," I said gently. "And if she brings out the part of you that remembers who you are, then yes, I'd love to meet her." He nodded, eyes glassy in a way he probably didn't want me to notice. We sat for a while after that, not needing many words. It's a strange and beautiful thing, rediscovering your own child, not as the boy you raised, but as a man, finding his own way, stumbling, correcting course, asking deeper questions. Since everything with Celeste, our relationship had shifted. We didn't just talk more, we understood each other more. He didn't just show up for check-ins. He stayed for real conversations. He'd bring over old photo albums and ask about people he barely remembered. He wanted to know my stories, not just my health. We cooked together, laughed more freely, and let silence stretch without guilt. One evening as we washed dishes side by side, he dried a mug and said I didn't realize how much I missed just being here. Not visiting, but being present, like a son should be. I looked at him and said, "You're here now. That's what matters." I no longer measured him by the years he was gone. I measured him by the courage it took to come back to face the pain, to make it right. And Rachel. She entered the picture slowly and respectfully. The first time she came by, she brought me a lavender plant, said she heard I liked herbs. She didn't try to impress me. She just listened, asked thoughtful questions. She had an ease about her, the kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. She wasn't trying to fix Nathan. She was just choosing to walk beside him, and that to me meant everything. Later that night after they'd left, I stood by the window watching the stars prick through the dark sky. I thought about all the years I'd prayed that my son would find his way not just out of pain, but back into connection. And here we were, not perfect, not without scars, but present, healing, becoming something new, not just mother and son, but two people deeply changed, finally seeing each other clearly again. There's something sacred about routine, not the kind forced by survival, but the kind you choose slowly, gently, like returning to your own rhythm after years of dancing to someone else's. That's what the days at the lake house had become. I started baking bread again, not for necessity, not because it stretched pennies, but because the scent of rising dough reminded me I was alive and not just surviving. The kneading felt like prayer. The waiting like patience returned to me. Each morning I scattered sunflower seeds on the porch rail for the chickadees and sparrows. They came faithfully pecking at the offering, fluttering their thanks with soft chirps. I began to name them, even talk to them. It sounds silly, I know, but sometimes conversation with a bird is gentler than conversation with people who think they know your story. In the garden, things started to grow, not just herbs now, but vegetables, flowers' color, life. I spent hours out there with dirt under my nails and the sun on my neck, humming old songs no one had asked to hear in years. I wasn't building anyone else's dream. I wasn't cleaning someone else's mess. I was tending to my own peace. One morning I sat at the kitchen table, still in my robe, a warm mug of coffee in my hand. Nathan had just texted me a photo of him and Rachel hiking up Blueberry Hill. He looked relaxed. She looked like she belonged there next to him, whole and kind. I looked out at the fog curling over the lake and realized I'd never actually said it out loud. So I picked up the phone, called my old supervisor at the cleaning agency. When she picked up, I simply said, "It's official. I'm done. No more late-night scrubbing, no more silent hallways and mops in the dark." There was a pause. "You sure?" she asked. "I am," I said. "I'm done cleaning other people's lives. It's time to live mine." We said goodbye warmly. She told me I'd be missed. And for the first time I believed her, but I didn't feel guilty. I had given enough. Now it was my turn. And in that same breath of freedom, I allowed myself something I hadn't dared before: forgiveness. I forgave myself for not seeing through Celeste's lies sooner, for trusting too easily, for mistaking charm for character. It wasn't weakness, it was love. I wanted so badly to believe that my son had chosen someone good, someone safe. And I forgave Nathan too, for not noticing, for letting distance disguise itself as love, for being so caught up in providing that he forgot to check if I was okay. Because the truth is, he sees now. He really sees. And people change when they begin to see what matters, not through words, but through presence, through returning, through staying. Nathan stayed. He came back not just to apologize, but to rebuild board by board, word by word. And because of that, I could let go of the bitterness that once sat heavy in my chest. Forgiveness wasn't an act of absolution, it was a release. A letting go so that I could move forward without dragging the weight of what was done to me. And isn't that what reclaiming a life looks like? It's not always grand. Sometimes it's bread rising on a counter. It's feeding birds that don't ask questions. It's waking up without panic and falling asleep without fear. It's trusting your own voice again, not the one shaped by shame or scarcity, but the quiet, steady one that says, "This is your life now." You don't owe anyone an apology for surviving it. And in those quiet days, as the garden bloomed and the lake reflected the sky's every mood, I began to believe it. I wasn't lost anymore. I wasn't a victim. I was a woman in full possession of her days. The porch creaked softly beneath my chair as I settled in a warm mug of chamomile in my hands. The sun had just begun to dip behind the hills, casting long golden fingers across Pine Lake. It was the kind of evening that doesn't ask anything of you, just invites you to sit still and be. I breathed in the scent of honeysuckle and lavender, the plants I'd nurtured now blooming on their own. My bones ached, but not from labor, not from exhaustion, just from living. And that was a privilege. My phone buzzed gently on the little table beside me. A text from Nathan lit up the screen. Rachel wants to cook for you this weekend. Her mom's soup recipe. You'll love it. I smiled. A year ago, if someone had told me I'd be here not just in this cabin, but in this state of mind, I would have thought it a cruel joke. I was exhausted back then, not just in body but in spirit, invisible to the world, betrayed by those closest to me, discarded without fanfare. But now I had warmth, now I had truth, now I had me. Celeste delayed my future, yes. She stole time, comfort, dignity. But she didn't destroy it. She couldn't. Because the most valuable thing I ever had was the will to begin again. That power, I realize now, was never hers to take. I sipped my tea, watching the light bend across the lake, and thought about you, whoever you are watching this, maybe carrying your own silent hurt. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, someone who looked you in the eye and lied without blinking, someone you built your life around, only to discover they'd been slowly chiseling away at your foundation? What would you do if it was you? Would you shrink? Would you rage? Or would you rebuild? Because I did, not all at once, not without tears, but piece by piece, with cracked hands, quiet mornings, and the grace of learning to love myself again. And I believe you can too. There's something deeply unsettling about how easily society dismisses the struggles of older women, as if aging quietly means becoming invisible. Eleanor's story isn't just about stolen money or legal justice. It's about reclaiming a voice that was nearly silenced by betrayal, convenience, and shame. For too long, we've praised resilience in women while ignoring the burdens they're expected to carry in silence. A mother cleans night after night, not because she's weak, but because she's told that love means endurance. A son forgets to look closely until pain forces his eyes open. A woman like Celeste walks into someone else's life and takes what she never earned because no one thought to protect the woman it belonged to. But Eleanor proves something powerful. You can start over, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, personally. With each loaf of bread, each herb planted, each quiet evening by the lake, she rebuilt a life worth living. Not perfect, but honest. Her own. That's what I believe. We all deserve the chance to reclaim what was taken, to say, I'm not done yet, and to live without apology. What about you? Have you ever had to start again after betrayal? Have you ever felt invisible in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story matters, and someone else might need to hear it today.